David has been insulted greatly, and he's going to take measures to straighten that out. David's men were sent to the king's son because the king had died, and David men were half of their beards were cut off, and they were insulted. Verse number 5, it says, "And the Syrians of Damascus came to help Hadaezer, king of Zobah, and David killed 22,000 of the Syrians." These are real numbers, by the way. "Then David put garrisons in the Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants of David and drained tribute, or actually all types of valuables. And the Lord helped David wherever he went." Damascus, Syria is a very old country, a very old city actually. I was there in 1975, I believe it was 1975, or early 76. And it was one of the most backward cities that I've ever been in. Actually, it was just horrible. Horrible living conditions. Everything tasted like diesel. They cooked with diesel, and all the smoke went up. Basically, the stoves there was a piece of rock, and it was concave like that, and they put their cooking vessels on top, and they had a spigot up here with like a 25-gallon tank of diesel up there, and they let it come out, and they light it on fire, and everything's smoking with diesel like that, and all the food tasted like diesel. Even Coca-Cola tastes like diesel. Everything did in that country. What a place. Now Toi, the king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated all the army of Hadaezer, and he sent Joram, his son, to King David to greet him and bless him, because he had fought against Hadaezer and defeated him, for Hadaezer had been at war with Toi. And Joram brought with him articles of silver, gold, and of bronze. And David dedicated these to the Lord. Now remember, David, he was going to build a house for the Lord. And the Lord wouldn't let him build the house, but he would gather all the material to build this house of God. That would be the temple of Solomon later. King David dedicated these to the Lord with the silver and gold, and defeated all the nations which he had subdued, from Syria and Moab to the sons of Ammon. Remember the Syrians over here. That's where we're having a lot of trouble over there today. And that's not very far from Israel either. I mean, this country it's like Southern California, the whole part of it. All of it. And it's all crammed together there, some of these very ancient cities. And the Moabites were Lot's children, and the Ammonites were Lot's children also, Abraham's nephew. So they're all cousins. And the sons of Ammon and the Philistines. The Philistines are the Palestinians. The Philistines, what does Philistine mean? Do you remember what it means? Philistines. It means uncivilized, uncouth. And that's the Palestinians today. It means that they were very base human beings. They were savages. And if you want to see savages, just look at Gaza today, the savage things that they have done over there. Capture and torture, rape and pillage. The Philistines and Amalek from the spoil of Hadaezer, the son of Rehob, the king of Zobah. And David made a name for himself when he returned from killing 18,000 Syrians in the Valley of Salt. And he put garrisons in Edom, and in all Edom he put garrisons, and all the Edomites became servants of David. The Edomites are Jacob's brother's family. Okay? This is Esau's people. And they became servants of David, and the Lord helped David wherever he went. And David reigned over all of Israel, and David ministered justice and righteousness for all the people. He was the judge. They came to him with problems, and he would figure it out and give justice to people, righteous judgment. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was over the army, and Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, was recorder. In other words, he was the clerk and a historian. And Zadok, the son of Ahithob, and Ahimelech, the son of Abiathar, were priests, and Zariah was the secretary. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief ministers. Chapter 9, verse number 1. Then David said, "Is there yet anyone left of the house of Saul, that I might show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?" Remember, he loved Jonathan. Jonathan had saved his life several times. Now to the servant of the house of Saul, whose name was Ziba. And they called to David, and the king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" And he said, "I am your servant." And the king said, "Is there yet anyone in the house of Saul whom I may show kindness, the kindness of God?" And Ziba said to the king, "There's still a son of Jonathan who is crippled in both his feet." And the king said to him, "Where is he?" And Ziba said to the king, "Behold, he is in the house of Machir, the son of Amiel lo Debar." Then King David sent and brought him from the house of Machir, the son of Amiel and lo Debar. And Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David and fell on his face and prostrated himself. "Mephibosheth," he said, here is your servant." And David said to him, "Do not fear. Do not fear. For I will surely show kindness to you for the sake of your father Jonathan." I'm sure that these boys knew that Jonathan and David really loved each other. They were very close companions. "And will restore to you all the land of your grandfather Saul, and you shall eat at my table regularly at all times." He's going to sit at the king's table. And he's going to be treated as royalty, as one of David's sons. He was adopted, basically. And again, he prostrated himself and said, "What is your servant that you should regard as a dead dog like me?" He said, "I am no good. I'm crippled. I can't do anything." "For in grace you're having been saved through faith, and that didn't come from you, you know." Ephesians 2:8. Romans talks about unmerited favor also. Then the king called Saul's servant Ziba and said to him, "All that belongs to Saul and to all his house I've given to your master's grandson. And you and your sons and your servants shall cultivate the land for him. And you shall bring the produce, so that your master's grandson will have food, and nevertheless Mephibosheth, your master's grandson, shall eat at my table regularly. But all of his family, they will eat, and they'll have food to eat." David provided for them. And now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. And Ziba said to the king, "According to all that my lord the king commands his servant, your servant will do." And so Mephibosheth ate at David's table as one of the king's sons. He treated him like one of his own children because of the promise that he had made to Jonathan. Remember, when a king came into power, what did they usually do? They killed all the descendants of the former one. That's just about what happened here in the last administration in America. I had to imprison all the people from the former administration. And Mephibosheth had a young son whose name was Micah. And all who lived in the house of Ziba were servants of Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem for he ate at the king's table of record there, and now he was lame in both of his feet. This is a trophy of the grace of God and the trophy of God's love. God's Son died for all mankind. He died for every man, woman, and child that shall ever be born in the history of the human race, good and bad. But it's only efficacious to those that believe. Now it happened that afterwards that the king of Ammon died, and Hanun his son became king in his place. Now here we have where David is going to go and offer condolences, and David is insulted. And the prince of the Ammonites said to Hanun, their lord, do you think David is honoring your father because he sent consolers to you? Has David not sent servants in order to search out the city, to spy out and overthrow you? Why would you want to overthrow him when there are servants to him? So Haman took David's servants and shaved off half of their beards and cut off their garments in the middle, so far as their hips, and he'll send them away half shaved and naked. And when David was told this, he sent to meet them, for the men were greatly humiliated. And the king said, stay at Jericho until your beards grow out, and then return. And when the sons of Ammon saw that they had become odious to David, the sons of Ammon sent and hired the Syrians and Beth Rehoboth and the Syrians Zobah 20,000 foot soldiers, and it came of Micah with 1,000 men, and the men of Tob with 12,000 men. And David heard of it, and he sent Joab and all the army, the mighty men. What is a mighty man? It's not a normal soldier. A mighty man is the elite guardsman, the elite, those that have proved themselves to be beyond normal, extraordinary. And the sons of Ammon came out and drew up a battle array at the entrance of the city, while the Syrians and Zobah and Rehob and the men of Tob and Maacah were by themselves in the field. Now when Joab saw the battle was set against him in the front and in the rear, he selected all choice men of Israel and arrayed them against the Syrians. Here again is the elite soldiers. These are the Green Berets. These are the Navy SEALs. These are the best of the best. But the remainder of the people he placed in the hand of Abishai, his brother. And he arrayed them against the sons of Ammon. And he said, if the Syrians are too strong for me, then you shall help me. And if the sons of Ammon are too strong for you, you will come and help. I will come and help you. Be strong and let us ourselves be courageous for the sake of our people and the cities of our God. And may the Lord do what is good in his sight. May the Lord take care of the battle. So Joab and all of his men, people, that were then drew near the battle against the Syrians, and they fled before him. And the sons of Ammon saw the Syrians fled, and also fled before Abishai and entered the city, and Joab returned from fighting against the sons of Ammon and came to Jerusalem. And when the Syrians saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they gathered themselves together, and Hadazer sent and brought out the Syrians whom were beyond the river. Beyond the river. Literally the Euphrates. And they came to Helam and Shobach, and commander of the army of Hadazer, and led them. Now it was told David that he gathered all of Israel together and crossed over Jordan and came to Helam, and all the Syrians arrayed themselves to meet David and fought against him. The Syrians fled before Israel. And David killed 700 charioteers. This is the tanks of the day. A chariot was like a tank today. Of the Syrians, 40,000 horsemen, and struck down Shobach, the commander of their army, and he died there. And all the kings and servants of Hadaezer, and they were defeated by Israel, and they made peace with Israel and served them, so that the Syrians feared to help the Ammonites any longer. Then it happened in the spring, at the time when kings go out to battle. Now we have a total different story. David is at ease. All the kings go out to battle. Now, they don't go out to battle in the winter time. They wait till the springtime when there's food for their animals, their horses, or whatever they have. Their men, there's food out there in the way. There's grass for the animals to graze on. They don't have to carry food. And David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the sons of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David stayed in Jerusalem. Now when evening came, David arose from his bed and walked around the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful in appearance. He knew who the woman was. He knew who she was. She was his elite guard, his bodyguard's wife. He knew this family. Now, so David sent and inquired about the woman. Now, what was she doing out there? A Jewish woman, when she was going through her monthly cycle, until she was finished with that cycle, she was unclean. And when she got through that cycle, she would go out and bathe and dip herself, or her mother-in-law many times would dip her 12 times, one for each son of Israel, in the water, and cleanse her. And then she could come to her husband and hope that she would get pregnant. That was all this is about. She's clean. She was going through her cleansing out there. But her husband is gone. He's at war. It is not Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Now, Uriah was a Hittite, but he had converted to Judaism, so to speak, or the Jewish faith. And he had come in, and not only had converted, but he had risked his life being David's bodyguard. He was the elite bodyguard of David. And David sent messengers and took her. And when she came to him, he lay down with her.
Very nice guy.
Huh?
That wasn't nice.
Yeah. He takes her. He knows why she's down there. She's clean. She cannot refuse him. He is the king. Uriah would not have refused him if he wanted her for his wife. At all. David sent, and he lay with her. And when she had purified herself from her uncleanness, she returned to her house. And the woman conceived. She caught seed, Yalad. And she sent to David and told David, I'm pregnant. So David sent to Joab saying, send me Uriah the Hittite. I'm going to show you some faithfulness here. I want to show you a character that is above. He's the elite of the elite. He's the most faithful of all the faithful. So Joab sent to Uriah to David. And when Uriah came to him, David asked concerning the welfare of Joab and the people and the state of the war. And David said to Uriah, go down to your house and wash your feet. Go down to your house and wash your feet. Go down to your house and wash your feet, have dinner with your wife, and go to bed with your wife. Get her pregnant. That's what he told him. And Uriah went out of the king's house, and a present from the king was sent out after him. They sent a present to him, probably sent him a big wine bottle. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and did not go down to his house. He was an honorable man. He could have gone down to his house. He could have gone there and been with his wife, and that's normally what most people would have done. But Uriah is more faithful, more elite, more Christian, if you want to use that term, than all the rest. More than David. Now when David was told, saying, Uriah did not go down to his house, David said, Uriah, have you not come from a journey? Why did you not go down to your house? I want you to go down and have sex with your wife so you'll think this child is yours. That's what's going on right now. This is what the story is. And Uriah said to David, the ark of Israel and Judah are staying temporary shelters, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are camping in open fields. Shall I then go to my house, eat, drink, and lie with my wife? I won't do it. By your life and the life of your soul, I will not do this thing. Uriah thought if he went home and in their comfort of his home and the comfort of his wife's arms, that he would be disgracing the rest of Israel. He would not go home and live and sleep in his bed while all of Israel was out fighting the war of the warriors. Then David said to Uriah, stay here today also, and tomorrow I will let you go. So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. And David called him, and he ate and he drank before him. And he made him drunk. He was intoxicated, inebriated, in the evening, and went out to lie on his bed with the Lord's servants, but he did not go down to his house. Even under a stage of drunkenness, he still had integrity. Most people, if you get drunk, you are not in your right mind. You're not in your right mind. You're going to do things that you not normally would do. But this man Uriah, he was a man of God. Now it came about in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he had written in the letter saying, place Uriah in the front of the line of the fiercest battle and draw from him so that he may be struck down and die. Kill him. Let him die in battle. He did not want him to know that his wife was pregnant by David. What would he have done? What would Uriah have done if he found out David was the father of the child? He probably would have given her to him. You did that back those days. You wanted that? It reminds me of the story go back to the, or forward, much forward to Muhammad's time. And this is kind of a story like that. Muhammad adopted a boy. He was a black boy. And he treated him as his son, and he was the greatest warrior among all the Islam. And when they would go out and they would go and into battle, they would take and kill all these men, and they would take their wives captive, and the prettiest of them would go to the generals and to the upper crust. Well, Uriah, not Uriah, but Muhammad's adopted son found this beautiful woman. And Muhammad went to his house. This is Ibn Ishaq's history of the Apostle of God. Okay, this is out of their own writings. And he went to the doorway of his house, and his wife came out somewhat scantily dressed, and he lusted after her. Muhammad did. So he wouldn't come in the house. He left. And then his adopted son said, Father, I heard you came to my house and you wouldn't go in for my wife to feed you and everything. He said, well, I lusted after her. I lusted after her. Well, you can have her. She's yours. You can have her. Well, Muhammad had made a law, in the Sharia law, by the way, that a father could not take his son's wife. And said, I can't do that because the law said, Allah said I can't do that. He said, well, take her. She's yours. She's yours. You can have her. I'd be glad for you to have her. You know what Muhammad did? He divorced his son from being his adopted son. He said, I can't. He got another reflection from God, from Allah, and Allah said, you can't adopt a son. So then he disowned the boy. Now he said, I can have your wife. Now I can have your wife because you're not my son anymore. So he took her and broke the boy's heart, according to Ibn Ishaq. Well, things like this happened back then. And the men of the city went out and fought against Joab, and some of the people among David's servants fell. Uriah the Hittite also died. Then Joab sent and reported to David all the events of the war. And he charged the messenger, saying, when you have finished telling all the events of the war to the king, say this. And it happens that the king, wrath arises and says to you, why did you not go near the city of the battle? Why did you take the battle to the city? Why did you get so close that all these men died? Did you not know that they would shoot from the wall? Who struck down Abimelech, the son of Jerubbesheth? And did not a woman throw an upper millstone on him from the wall so that he died at Thebez? And why did you go so near of the wall? And then you shall say, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. By the way, this is Joab's joke to David. Joab was slapping David in the face, right here. Sometimes Joab was much more righteous than David was. So the messenger departed and came and reported to David all that Joab had sent to tell him. And the messenger said to David, the men prevailed against us and came out against us in the field, and we were pressed them as far as the entrance of the gate. Moreover, the archers shot at your servants from the wall, and some of the king's servants are dead, and your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. Then David said to his messenger, thus you will say to Joab, do not let this thing displease you. For the sword devours one as well as another. Make your battle against the city stronger and overthrow it. So he encouraged him. David, was he unhappy that this man, his elite bodyguard, the man that had guarded his life, was now dead? He wanted to cover his sin with Bathsheba. Now when the wife of Uriah heard of all that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the time of mourning was over, David sent and brought her to his house, and she became his wife. And then she bore him a son, and the thing that David had done was evil in the sight of the Lord. David said, boy, he said, you know, my elite bodyguard now, he's dead. I'm going to take his wife, and I'm going to take care of her, and I'm going to take care of his child, etc., etc., etc. He made himself look really, really good. Except the story is not over. Not over. Our Father, we send this message out for your honor and glory. Please use it to deal with our hearts, our minds, and our souls. Please let your word dwell deeply in our hearts and in our minds. Help us, guide us as we go through this life. Father, please forgive me where I failed you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.